What's up, Gacha gang? Kawaii50 here with another FGO video, here to talk about Best Girl from Babylonia. That's right, it is Ereshkigal, and I will broker no arguments. Today we are going to go ahead and talk about Ereshkigal's stats, how best to play her, what her best team setup is, the best command codes for her, the whole 9 yards, to make sure that you can maximize the effectiveness of the goddess of the underworld. Let's get started. Even starting at Ereshkigal's stats, we can already tell that she is very, very impressive. 16,065 HP, the 4th highest in the entire game. Ereshkigal has that survivability. When it comes to her attack, 10,343 is a respectable number. And with all of the buffs Ereshkigal has in her kit, you're actually going to see her putting out some pretty good damage. She's got a quick Arts Buster deck, of course, with a Buster Noble Phantasm. Her NP gain is alright, we're actually going to get into that in just a sec, and Star Absorption is fine as well. Ereshkigal does have 3 class skills, but the big one to take away from is Territory Creation rank A+, which increases her arts card effectiveness by 11%. Now, she only has 1 arts card, but if you're able to put it in the end of an arts chain, this skill's effectiveness is really going to speak volumes, and she's going to be able to gain a decent amount of NP, thanks to a combination of this, as well as a bunch of other skills in her arsenal. Ereshkigal's first skill is the Secret Great Crown rank A. It gives her invincibility for 1 turn, has a chance to give her debuff immunity, has a chance to apply instant death immunity, and a chance to increase her buff removal resistance by 100%. Now, this chance is not something you ever want to rely on, because it's only a 60 to 80% chance. Yeah, you might be able to increase this for Ozymandias, but you're not using this skill for the chance-based components. You are using this skill to give Ereshkigal invincibility. That's pretty much when you're going to use it at all times. This is her main survival skill. Ereshkigal's second skill is Mana Burst Cage rank A+. This increases her Buster effectiveness and grants her an NP charge at a whopping 30 to 50%, depending on how much you've invested in this skill. Gang, the power this skill has behind it cannot be understated. For any servant, having a 50% NP steroid is more than enough to make that skill a priority. But to tie that in with a Buster card effectiveness on a servant who is able to Buster Brave Chain if you use her Buster-related Noble Phantasm, that is just nuts. This is a very, very powerful skill. You definitely want to max this first if at all possible, especially considering some very, very good craft essences do come with a 50% starting NP gauge. If you got this at rank 10 gang, that's a free turn 1 Noble Phantasm without even having to equip a K-Scope. Ereshkigal's final skill, and the skill you want to level up second, is Blessing of Kur rank EX. This applies the Blessing of Kur to all allies, which grants additional effects from her Noble Phantasm that we'll go into when we cover that, but it also offers some substantial stat boosts as well. A 10 to 20% defense boost, a 20 to 30% NP gain boost, and a 2,000 to 3,000 max HP boost for all allies. Couple this with a Merlin buff on Ereshkigal, and her HP reaches some astronomical levels, on top of her giving your entire team some defensive buffs to boot. The NP gain boost, of course, helps out the fact that she has only 1 arts card, and it makes the fact that she only has 1 arts card honestly an afterthought. She's still going to be gaining solid amounts of NP with Blessing of Kur active. Ereshkigal's Noble Phantasm is Ereshkigal Urkala, rank A. This deals damage to all enemies at a 300 to 500% and also increases the attack of all allies with Blessing of Kur on them by 20% for 3 turns. This also has a nice ability on Overcharge where it increases Ereshkigal's Buster card effectiveness, and this activates before the damage is dealt, as all great Noble Phantasm buff skills do. This only has a 300 to 500%. I'm sure you're thinking to yourself, that's only 300 to 500%. What's the big deal about that? Well, gang, it's the fact that the rest of your team is going to be dealing insane amounts of damage after the fact. Ereshkigal or Kala is just kind of to soften them up. That 20% attack boost is the main course, and I did some challenge quests with a 10-10-10 Ereshkigal. And let me tell you, gang, that attack boost coupled with Blessing of Kur, coupled with Mana Burst, coupled with a Merlin buff, some of the damage she can deal on her Buster Card attacks is just absolutely unreal. Ereshkigal or Kala is a very, very strong Noble Phantasm. When it comes to craft essences for Ereshkigal, the necessity of that starting 50% NP gauge cannot be understated once you have all of her skills at 10-10-10. That starting NP gauge is not only going to give you a chance to use your Noble Phantasm immediately, but to grant your whole team a team-wide buff, 20% to their attack, plus all of those defensive boosts attached to Blessing of Kur, plus a very strong showing from Ereshkigal with her attack. Having that slew of buffs at the start of any encounter is going to do wonders for your team. So, which craft essences do we give her that can help maximize that? Well, if you're looking for a short order fight, look no further than Devilish Bodhisattva. This gives that starting MP gauge and also gives Ereshkigal some extra levels of overcharge, meaning that instead of a 10% Buster Card effectiveness boost she's going to get off her Noble Phantasm, she is going to get a 30%, meaning she is going to be dealing a pretty good amount of damage to the first wave of enemies or that first big attack on the boss. As always, Golden Sumo Boulder Tournament's effectiveness cannot be understated. You probably have this limit broken if you went to get this craft essence. 50% starting MP gauge plus 15% attack helps absolutely every single attacking servant in the game. Ereshkigal is no exception. I also definitely want to give some mention to Starry Nights. If you were pulling on the gacha, you might have ended up max limit breaking this craft essence, and you can chuck it on Ereshkigal. Buster Card effectiveness plus 15%. The critical strength plus 15% ends up becoming a sort of gravy on top of the other things this craft essence is giving Ereshkigal. If you don't have a lot of people that say steal stars, I'm sure you know some archers and riders that can do that if you're using them on teams. Or just in general, if you are over-generating stars with the support you're giving Ereshkigal, this craft essence is a good pick to help her squeeze out a little bit extra damage, and if she crits on her arts cards, a little extra NP gain. And finally, I'd like to mention Partake with the King. This is a 10% Buster Card effectiveness boost and 50% starting NP charge. Not limit broken. That is the key, not limit broken. You're able to reach that effectiveness with Ereshkigal without needing to break the bank to max limit break this craft essence. If you really don't have anything better, this can be a nice CE to fall back on if you need one for Ereshkigal. I don't really feel a need to waste a lot of time on allies for Ereshkigal because her allies are very, very straightforward. You just want to give her your Buster supports, my friends. So your Merlin, your Helena Blavatsky, you know who your Buster supports are. Throw them on a team with Eresh. I do want to make special mention to Queen Himiko, probably a servant you're going to see me recommending a lot on any servant that's a Buster team. But she deserves special mention with Ereshkigal when it comes to her Noble Phantasm. Her Noble Phantasm increases Buster Card effectiveness as well as increases the NP overcharge for all allies by 2. If you use this with Ereshkigal and if you couple this with a Devilish Bodhisattva craft essence, you are getting her a 50% Buster effectiveness boost on Ereshkigal or Kala that activates before damage is dealt. So you'll turn that Noble Phantasm into a monstrous AoE sweeper thanks to their team up. And finally, when it comes to our command codes, Lancers, they generally don't have the best star weight. So being able to increase that critical star absorption is going to help Ereshkigal out a lot, both when it comes to damage and when it comes to NP gain and star gen. Being able to funnel stars into her single arts card whenever it pops up is going to help you ensure that her NP gain sort of gets a steroid throughout the entire fight. So for arts card, I've definitely got to recommend Immature Illusionary Command Seal. This increases the star absorption of that card by 100%. As far as our quick cards go, you can go ahead and give her the one that carries Fortune. This increases star absorption of her quick card by 100% and is going to help her generate even more of those critical stars. I also want to make special mention of Mask of Concealed Beauty, which you can probably chuck on Ereshkigal's other quick card. We know at rank 10, her very first skill has an 80% chance to proc the extra abilities. Give her Mask of Concealed Beauty, go ahead and use that skill after you use that attack on the following turn, and you are going to get a 100% chance on those secondary abilities. And finally, NP damage is always nice, so Da Vinci-chan and everyone's Da Vinci-chan are going to give Ereshkigal plenty of opportunities to squeeze even more damage out of Ereshkigal Urkala. I'm sure many of you watching can kind of guess where I'm going with this, but Ereshkigal is a very powerful option for your team, but like a lot of powerful options in the game, you do need to build your entire team around her. Now, she is able to give your team some buffs, able to help your casters maybe squeeze out a little more damage. Maybe you're using a star generator along with Ereshkigal, and you want to give them a little bit more damage too, but a lot of her buffs help her as well. So focusing on her when you need her as your main damage dealer is going to be the best route to go. You will not be disappointed in the work Ereshkigal is able to put in. She is without a doubt one of the best Lancers in the game. But as always, I want to know all of your thoughts, so go ahead and let me know what you think about Ereshkigal down in the comment section below. Let me know if there's a craft essence you prefer to use on her. Let me know if there are other teammates you like to pair her with other than the ones that I mentioned. Let me know if there's some cool command codes that you equipped your Ereshkigal with. And as always, let me know if you pulled her on recent banners or even if you grailed her to 100. Flexing your Ereshkigal is something you can do down in the comment section. As always, I hope you're all having a phenomenal day, and I'll see you in the next video.